program. So please permit me with a clapping ovation. Let us welcome Ambassador Ajide Okoye as she talks about.
I'm a member of African Network of Young Leaders for Peace on climate change and then the impact of this climate change in our country, Nigeria. So I will give a brief introduction of African Network of Young Leaders for Peace and Sustainable Development. And then this African Network of Young Leaders for Peace and Sustainable Development is a voluntary organization with the focus to bring about sustainable and then a leader that represents all in all spheres of life. So I will be sensitizing you on climate change, the impact of climate change in Nigeria, the Paris Agreement on climate change. Changes in everything and then in every sphere of life. Changes in everything and every area of life is constant. So we experience changes at one level. At a point in time, we experience changes. When you were so much younger, you can't compare it to your present age now. Because there is changes in the way you listen, there is changes in your physical structure. So these changes occur in climate. The climate is not left out from these changes. So the climate is not exempted from these changes. The rotation of the Earth around the sun, and then the rotation of the Earth around the sun, and then the orbit of the Earth around the sun, so it makes the climate to change. These changes might be favorable to us, and then it might be detrimental as well. So now I will be exploring climate change, the impact of climate change in Nigeria, and also the Paris Agreement and climate justice. So what is climate, if I may ask? The climate is the average weather condition of a place over a very period of time. The manifestation of long-time weather and atmospheric conditions of a particular place might be maybe a year or maybe 10 years. That is the weather condition or atmospheric condition of a place over a very period of time. So now I'll be talking about climate science. What is climate science? Climate science, that is the study of the changes of the climate. How the climate changes, that is climatology. Study of the changes in the climate is what we refer to as climatology. And then the climate is somehow what studied, yes, because we can all see around us the outbreak of many natural disasters like floods, storms, and then changes in patterns of rainfall. That's what makes the climate to be somewhat studied. And then now I will be talking on the impact of this climate change in our country, Nigeria. What is the impact of climate change? Before I go to the impact of climate change, I would like to talk on the causes of climate change. What causes climate change? The primary causes of climate change is the phenomenon of greenhouse effect. This greenhouse effect is a natural process that traps the sun heat to sustain life on Earth. And then, let me talk about the Earth. The Earth is the third planet to the sun, right? Yes. So And then the Earth is more favorable than other planets because of the Earth's atmosphere. The Earth has diversity of life forms. So the Earth's atmosphere is a thin blanket of air. And then at the layer of this Earth's atmosphere, we have what we call the greenhouse effect. So this greenhouse effect, its function is to trap the sun heat and sustain life in the climate, there is increase in the carbon dioxide, which is the greenhouse gases that sustain life on Earth. There is increase in the methane. And then what causes this increase in carbon dioxide is burning of fossil fuel. Though we know that this fossil fuel make life efficient for us. Since the natural ways of getting things done has been converted to the mechanical advent, and then since we are burning this fossil fuel, it increases the concentration of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So when there is increase in the concentration of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, so this leads to changes in the climate. Another one is decomposition of waste in the landfill. When we decompose waste in the landfill, this also increases the concentration of methane in the atmosphere. And you also know that methane is also part of the greenhouse gases. And then we have the chlorofluorocarbon and then the nitrous oxide. So what is the impact of this climate change? What is the impact that this climate change has really have effect? It's really have effect that the world is facing now. So we have the water temperature. The temperature is changing. There's water temperature everywhere. So there is heat waves, and then this heat waves leads to what? Heat stroke. And then this heat waves also leads to all heat-related diseases like chicken pox, and then heat rash, and the like. And then another one is the glaciers is melting. So when this glaciers melt, the water of the glaciers added to the ocean water, and then there is decrease in drinkable water. So another one is severe drought. Nearly all 90% of our land have become so dry now. So it's not suitable for agriculture. Climate change. So the UN countries, they signed an agreement called the Treaty Agreement on Climate Change. And there are almost about 193 countries, including the European countries, signed this agreement on 22nd November. And this agreement was signed on 1st November 2016. So the reason why they signed this agreement is to ensure that there is decrease in country member emissions of this climate change. Another thing is, to work together to adapt to these changes in the environment. And then the third one is to encourage other countries so as to strengthen their commitment to battling this climate change and global warming. So the cardinal aim of this agreement is there should be a decrease in the rise in temperature. And then another one is the first climate agreement. The Paris Agreement is the first climate agreement. The agreement, their goal is to what? Is to combat climate change and provide support for those that have been really affected by the changes in their environment. So now I'm talking about climate justice. Climate justice, what do you mean by climate justice? So that everybody will be equally treated, and then to ensure that there is decrease in everything that deteriorates the planet, that damages the planet. So that is what the climate justice is all about. To provide an enable environment for everybody, to provide support for the poorer countries, and then create a fair, just, and equal world for all. That's what it's all about, climate justice. I think with this, you agree with me now that we all need to take action to combat this because it's really affecting each and every one of us. No one is exempted. It's really affecting our health. And then the water temperature leads to us. It wasn't the air pollution by increasing the ground level ozone. This ground level ozone is created when the pollution from the factories and the cars has been mixed with the strong heat. Yeah, when it has been mixed with the heat, this ground level and then this air pollution has increased death rate of asthmatic patients. So we all need to combat this immediately. We all need to combat the effects of climate change now. Thank you for listening.
We can do better, we can do better. Let's celebrate our first speaker. Thank you so much, I'm the second speaker, and by name, Ayaka Onyola David. Let's celebrate ourselves. Thank you for your time, and we are very sorry to put you guys under the sun. Is the apology accepted? Yes. Is it accepted? Yes. Alright, celebrate yourself for being in Nigeria. Celebrate yourself for being in Nigeria. How many of us are proud to be in Nigeria? How many of us are proud to be in Nigeria? Alright, so I'll be taking the second part of this sensitization, and the topic is the manifestation of climate crisis and ecosystem degradation in Nigeria. So I have just 5 outlines. So we're looking at the definition of terms. Please, I want us to take notes where necessary. The essence of this is to sensitize us and to inform us so that we can appreciate our ecosystem better. Is that clear? Alright, so we're looking at some definition of terms. We're looking at the types of climate and also the type of ecosystem that we have. Also, we're looking at a general review of the climate change in Nigeria. And also, we're looking at the factors that affect climate change in Nigeria. And then lastly, we're looking at the consequences or the crisis of climate change. Alright, so going to the definition of terms. Like the first speaker has said before, but let me just buttress it. When you are talking about climate, is a weather condition that elapses for a very long period of time. Are we together? Are we together? So when you talk about climate, it's a weather condition that elapses for a very long period of time, and it can last for about 30 years. If you have a weather condition that maybe a month changes and all, you can't call that a climate change. You get it? So but when it lasts longer, like a period of 10, 20, 30 years and above, you can refer to that as what? As climate. You get it? Then when we now talk about the ecosystem is an interaction of communities, of living organisms and their physical environment. Exactly. And in an ecosystem, we have the biotic ecosystem, and we also have the abiotic ecosystem. The biotic ecosystem, I mean those ecosystems that we can term to as living. Are we together? Living ecosystem. Then the abiotic ecosystem, we can term that to those non-living ecosystem. Are we together now? So do we get the definition of the climate and what? Ecosystem. Alright, so we move to the next one, which is the type of climate and then the type of ecosystem. So with me, I have just 5 basic types of climate, and you might want to write down. So the first one, I have the tropical climate. What do I call it? The tropical climate. Then the second one, I have the dry climate. You know, I said that it's a weather condition that lasts for a very long period of time, right? So I also have the temperate climate. Are we together? Please take note because there's going to be a review after now. We also have the continental climate. Yeah, continental climate. And the last one, we have the polar climate. Then going to the types of the ecosystem. There are several types of ecosystem, but just for the sake of this, we just streamline it to 2. So we have the fresh ecosystem, we have the marine ecosystem, and we have the terrestrial ecosystem. Is that clear? We have the fresh ecosystem or the freshwater ecosystem, the marine ecosystem, and the terrestrial ecosystem. Is that clear? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Alright, thank you. Now, going to the review of climate change in Nigeria. Economic sectors such as agriculture, fishery, and forestry are more predisposed to adverse effects of climate change. When you say adverse effect, it means those effects that are very potent. Are we getting it? So it affects our economic sector like the fishery, the ponds, and the agricultural sector. Now, the Nigerian climate has been irregular over the years, alternating between period of extreme dry or rainy season. So it means that we have not had a very stable climate condition. It has been on and off. It has been on and off. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Right. Then I said climate change in Nigeria has led to season of drought and excess flood. When I say drought, what did I mean? Now, drought is an extreme period of dryness. Exactly. An extreme period of dryness. That is drought. Then excessive flood. That's when you have continuous rainfall. Continuous rainfall. Exactly. It can lead to what? To flooding. Okay? Which has affected the agricultural activities and cause loss of shelter. Now, according to the National Emergency Management Agency, that's NEMA, in 2019, they discovered that flood has displaced approximately 1.9 million of Nigeria. Can we see that? According to the National Emergency Management Agency, in 2019, they discovered that flood has displaced, that is, a lot of people has lost their life as a result of what? Flood. Exactly. Approximately 1.9 million Nigerians. So you can see that these irregularities in our climatic condition can actually be streamlined, whereby we can have the life of people to be what? Preserved. Greenhouse gases. And like the first speaker has earlier said, that some of these greenhouse gases, that we have the sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide. These are emissions that goes into the atmosphere. Exactly. And they hinder rainfall and causes toxic rainfall. Okay? Then we also have the burning of hydrocarbon products. Burning of hydrocarbon products. This can also result to climate change in Nigeria. We also have deforestation. How many of us have heard of deforestation before? Now, deforestation is the indiscriminate cutting down of what? Of trees. Exactly. Now, deforestation has its benefit, but the disadvantage is very high. Are you getting it? Because some of the chairs they are sitting on are actually gotten from the product from trees. Are you getting it? They actually gotten from timbers. Are you getting it? But when those trees are being cut down indiscriminately, that is when it now affects the climatic condition. Do you get that? Do you get that? Alright, we also have the industrial emissions. Many of us have gone to some of these big industries. You see them having these big machines that emit smoke from their engines. How many of us have seen that? So some of those smokes, they pollute the atmosphere. Are you getting it? They pollute the atmosphere. They make the environment to be positive. Is that clear? Alright, now to the last point. The crisis of climate change in Nigeria. Number one, we have low crop yield. Low crop yield. Now, you agree with me that if in a season you have minimal rainfall, like not excessive now, and in another season you don't have any rainfall at all, what will be the outcome of the crop yield? Will you have more crop yield in the minimal rainfall or in the drought season? You have more product in the minimal rainfall, right? Now, the drought season is the season where you don't have any what? Rainfall. So it means that the ground will be very, very dry. Are we together? It will be dry. and it will not allow the soil to produce the necessary nutrients that will bring for increase in production. So one of the consequences that the climate change in Nigeria does is that it leads to low crop yield. Then the second one is food shortage. Food what? Shortage. Now, in economics, there is something they call the available resources, right? He said that human needs is what? Insatiable, right? But you know, when the available resources, like the resources that is available, is not enough to cater for the number of population that we have, you know, that is already a problem, right? So it leads to a food shortage. Then it leads to reduced livestock production. Livestock, I mean, some of these are animals. Thank you. Some of these are animals like the dairy, cattle. You know, it's not just only plants that we can actually produce in farm production. We also have animal production. So it leads to low production of some of these livestock. And then we also have loss of income. We also have what? Loss of income. Like I said earlier on, there are so many benefits that we get from these plants or these livestock. So if the climate condition is not stable, or if there is an increase in deforestation and all, it can reduce the income that comes into the country's economy. Is that clear? And lastly, we have loss of shelter. Now, you agree with me that there are so many importance that some of these are trees and plants they do to us in our environment. Now, one of the importance is that when you have an environment that is, you have lot of trees being planted around. Now, that environment is not likely to be prone to destruction from wind. Are we getting it? Because some of those trees, they help to prevent the wave of the wind, right? So it helps to preserve our homes, right? It helps to preserve our homes, and also loss of shelter in the sense of losing some animals. There are some animals that uses some of these plants as an habitat. So if there is continuous degradation of these climate, of these forests, it can lead to loss of those animals. Exactly. So I want to encourage us that we should appreciate our plants, we should appreciate our trees, and we should encourage planting of trees. Exactly. We should encourage planting of trees so that we can have a better Nigeria. Thank you for your time. God.
Good morning, students. Greatest Nigerian students. Greatest Nigerian students. Articulate Nigerian students. So my name is Akinjo Temitope Ibel. I'm a member of the Sustainable Development Groups and a climate justice advocate. So I'll be talking on climate crisis and ecosystem degradation in Nigeria. Having said all about climate change, I think you have the full understanding of climate change now. Yes or no? We have the full understanding of climate change. You know, at the point in time it's raining, at the point in time it's dry. Are we aware? Which of the climatic season are we now? Rainy season. Yeah, so that is it. So to avoid total infractions and further damages to the climate, the clamor for climate justice and defending our ecosystem becomes important. How many of us know that we contribute to the amount of rain that falls every year? How many of us know here? How many of us have heard about the ozone layer? The ozone layer. So how many of us have heard that we contribute to the damage of this ozone layer? Most times. You are aware of that, right? So those are some of the effects, those are some of the crises that we cause to the climate. So to date, Nigeria suffers from various implications of climate changes in our economy, agriculture, fresh water, forestry, human health, sanitation, disasters, migration, and human settlement and energy. Now, what am I trying to say is that a change in climate, which oftentimes what it causes is higher than the one caused by nature. So these changes happen as a result of some human activities. I will be building on what my two colleagues have said. So climate crisis contains all human contribution, all effects of human contributions to the falling in greenhouse gases, which in return causes change to our climate, order, and change the ecosystem. Now, I will be talking on how we contribute to climate changes and ecosystem degradation. The first one is burning of fossil fuels and carbon into the air. How many of us know that the smoke that goes to the climate affects the climate? How many of us knows that? How many of us know that? Now, when we burn carbons, the carbons affect the greenhouse gases and in return determine the number of rain that fall every year. Are you with me? Yes. Now, how many of us know that the rain that falls go from the ground? How many of us know? We've all heard about evaporation, right? So you'll see that there are some flowing particles from the ground to the sky. Are we aware? So the high the heat of the sun to the ground, the more the tendencies of high rainfall in a particular year. Are you getting me? So if the sun is shining so bright and the sun in a dry season is so high that it hits the ground level to an extent, it increases the number of or the rate at which the rain will fall. And we all know the implication of excess rain, don't we? It causes flood. Are we aware? It causes the expansion of ocean banks. Who would agree with me that we have oceans across all Nigerians, most especially the southern part of Nigeria. In the northern part of Nigerians, it causes droughts, dryness, and all the likes. And we all know the implications of flood. Do you know the implications of flood? One, it makes people homeless. Are we aware of that? So a situation whereby the sea or the ocean is flowing beyond its banks and affecting humans. So burning of coal and minerals. The first speaker spoke about the Industrial Revolution. How many of us know what the Industrial Revolution means? Now you would know that before the advent of machines, most especially heavyweight machines, our father in the olden days, they have their own local way of getting everything done. If they want to go to anywhere, they trek. But now, we are using cars that burn carbons. How many of us know that the smoke that comes out of the car is causing carbon? And the carbon is destroying the ozone layer, which is part of the greenhouse gases. Are we aware? So, now, you see, aside that, we have to control the carbon that we burn. So, two is the creation of the ozone layer, like I've said. Now, automobiles are combustion, which pollutes the air. So, the sky or the climate gets heat as a result of the carbon that it emits. You will believe with me that we breathe on what? We breathe in oxygen, right? And we breathe out what? Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is one major thing that affects the greenhouse gases. So, and you also believe with me that the grasses, the trees, and the forests around us emit carbons. Are you aware of that? they emit carbon. But when I and you, when we take cutlasses to this forest and we cut those trees, what other thing will emit the carbon? Nothing other than to just penetrate into the climate, and its return affects our life. So I'm charging every one of us that we should reduce unnecessary falling of trees. When we get to our various houses, when we meet our friends, let us tell them to what? To avoid unnecessary falling of trees. And in case of its inevitability, you cut one and plant what? You cut one and plant two. So that when the carbons that we are breathing out and the ones that comes from vehicle and every weight machines will be emitted by those trees. Are you all with me? So I'm also to talk on what we have been doing to curtail the effects of climate change, which is the climate crisis. And the first thing we have been doing is that we have been sensitizing people on how to minimize carbon burning. How to minimize carbon burning. So we have been telling people, meeting with people, that unnecessary burning of things. And you will believe with me that in the Western world, I believe it's coming to our country very soon. You see, they don't use car that brings out smoke again. How many of us are aware of that? How many of us are aware? They don't use car that bring out smoke. They use electric car. Are you aware of that? Yeah. Now, the advent of that is just to save the carbon that we produce. How many of us are aware of the advent of solar panel as a means of electricity supply now? How many of us have seen a solar panel once? Using solar to generate electricity. There will be light without generator. So all the advent of these things is to what? Is to curtail and to avert the negative effects of climate changes. So we have been doing that. We have been sensitizing people on carbon burning. And two, we have also been sensitizing people on plantation of trees to redeem our collapsing forest. Now, when you plant tree, the tree emits the carbon that we bring out, the one that comes out from vehicles and others. So the tree will be there to safeguard what? To safeguard our greenhouse gases from collapsing. Because the more danger will cause to the greenhouse gases, the more tendencies for high rain in a particular year. And the third one is that we have been advising various industries and how to tap energy from the sun. Are you with me? You know, I told you that as heavy the sun is to the ground, so as water gets evaporated and increases the level of rainfall in a particular year. So if we are tapping our lights, our electricity from the sun, it reduces the effect of the sun on us. Are we getting me? Now, for instance, we are using a solar means of generating electricity in this compound. Now, the effect of the sun on us will be reduced because some of the effect are some of the tenacity of the sun will be shared by the solar panel that is serving us electricity. So we have been advising industries and home to go into that, and also the burning of carbons. Yes, industries can also avoid burning of excessive carbon. And how do we do that? How do we be of help to that? Is that we recycle our used things. What did I say? We recycle our used things. When I got here, I observed something. I observed some of my friends and colleagues here. We were drinking minerals from the bottle. Yeah. So as soon as you finish drinking the mineral, where did you drop the bottle? No, the bottle. You return it. The bottle will be what? Will be recycled. So they'll fill the bottle with another mineral and you drink them another day. Is that not so? So unlike when we dispose plastics and all the likes, and the disposition of all these things causes what? Causes an effect to the greenhouse gases. So we have always encouraged people to reuse and recycle their things. Because the bottle that you are seeing, the energy that was put in place to get it produced, some of the energy affects the greenhouse gases. You know, some of them, when you get to the industry, you see, how many of us have gotten to an industry, a big industry before? You will see there is something like a space where carbon, where like fire is burning. It will be burning so heavy. So thank you, it will be black. It's because flame. So when you are reducing and when you are recycling your used things, it reduces everything that is put together in producing them. And the fourth one is to protect our various water by avoiding dropping of refuse. Our refuse inside the rivers. Some of us, we are fond of dropping refuse inside the rivers, which in turn affects we in the society. You know, the number of garbage, because the number of refuse has an effect on the greenhouse gases, like I said, and in return increases the sun rates, and the sun rates on earth increases the what? Increases downpour, which is rain. And the fifth thing that we've been doing is bush clearing. We've been advising people to adopt bush clearing and natural means of enriching the soil instead of chemical composition and pesticide. You will see that these days we don't use cutlasses and hoes to cut our bushes again. Although bush and weeds are inevitable, we have to clear them. Are we aware of that? But then we have been adopting the use of chemicals, which these chemicals kill so many things that emit our carbons in the soil. So the last one is that climate change or climate crisis is a threat to everyone's life, everyone's health, and all areas of man's life. And this climate crisis can only be fought by every one of us. You would believe with me that from our discussions, we have been saying we are the cause of what? We are the cause of climate change. We are the cause of the excessive rainfalls. We are the cause of ocean getting full beyond its banks. We are the cause of the inadequacies in crop productions by all our activities on the climate. So in that regard, we have to protect our climate, we have to guide it judiciously and avoid anything that can damage the greenhouse gases, so that we are going to live peacefully and so that we are going to live so well in an environment. So can we all say this together? I will safeguard the climate. I will safeguard the climate. I will ensure I contribute my quota to climate crisis. I will ensure I protect our climate and do not contribute to the falling of climate. Yes, together we can fight climate crisis, and together we can fight the effects of climate change on us. So as we are going home, meet a friend, tell your friend that they told us about the effect of climate change, and if you are not remembering anything, remember that the carbon, the number of carbon we produce, we should minimize it. We should minimize unnecessary falling of trees, which is deforestation. You understand? So we can all fight and we can all have a peaceful community and society. So thank you so much. And God bless. that we'll be using as guide. Placards. Stop what? Because by you cutting down the trees causes an effect to what? Causes what? Causes climate change. Like I gave an illustration of bottle and plastic. You know, instead of you to waste all those things, you what? You reserve, you reuse, and you recycle. Now, can we go to the third one? Yes, we can all avoid the damages we cause to the climate by what? By considering our exercise on the climate. And may I go to the fourth one? Pollution is social. The pollution will causes to the climate causes climate change over the time. So let us stop polluting the air. Let us stop what? Polluting the air. And the number fifth one. Together we can stop climate change. Like we have been doing, like we have someone encouraged to reach out to you on the effect of climate. Together we can. Can we echo it again? Together we can stop climate change. And may I go to the number 6? Reuse, reduce, and recycle. Probably you've gotten a mineral that is packaged in a bottle and in plastic. Instead of you throwing them away, you what? You reuse. Instead of you throwing them away, you what? You reduce. And instead of you using excessive things that cause garbages, you what? You reduce them. And instead of you causing another effort of production, you reward, you recycle. And may I go to the last one? Plant a tree today. One means to save our climate from spoiling, or one means of retaining our natural climate is what? Planting a tree and stop falling of trees. So thank you very much.
My name is Abu Washem. I'm in Sensitization. I'm the head boy of Blue Spot. I just want to say a big thank you to the organizers of this seminar that now we know the effect of climate change on our environment, the solution to the problem, and how we can prevent the problem to save us from the other to see this team another time, and we hope they can do this level so they can be enlightened on the effect of climate change. Thanks.
My name is Titi Ivanola, I'm in Sensitization, and I'm the current head of this great college, Heroes International College. I'd like to say some things about about how we contribute towards change and the climate crisis. Number 1, by burning of fossil fuels and carbon into the air. Number 2, by burning of minerals and coal into the air. Number 3, through automobile combustion. I would just like to say some things about how I feel about the program. The program is a very good and it enhances the students' knowledge about some things we don't know. It's very nice to have you guys in our school, and we really appreciate you guys coming to our school. For the people watching me right now, I just want you guys to know that you should stop dumping refuse anyhow, because it also adds to climate crisis, because if it could lead to high evaporation. For example, if we contribute to the reason for climate crisis is due to the greenhouse gas, and you know that the greenhouse gas it contains carbon dioxide and some other materials. I like to set an example. If there's increase in the greenhouse gas, it will lead to increase in concentration of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. I just like to tell people that they should always drop their refuse in a good place that they know that it won't lead to any climate crisis. I hope you adhere to my following instructions. Thank you.